Hey everyone, welcome to the another video of pin diagram of 8085. In today's video, we will learn about the 40 pins of 8085 microprocessor and what are the functions. I'm sure that all of you have seen the MUPI, at least in pictures. So if there is just a pin, there are so many pins. So if this is a chip, there are many pins on both of the sides. MUPI has 40 pins, 20 on this side and 20 on the other side. So what are the functions of these pins? This is a scientific diagram, but just to make you understand it a bit more easily, I will arrange it the way I want, or it's easy to remember and very understandable too. So just see this for once and then we will start. The first two pins are X1 and X2. What does X1 and X2 do? X1 and X2 is connected by a crystal oscillator. Don't get terrified. Let me explain that what is a crystal oscillator and what is its function in 8085. I think if you have noticed that I have written 8085, it's a 3 megahertz microprocessor. Now hertz is the unit of frequency, right? What is frequency and all, what does it matter here? First, let us understand what is crystal oscillator. I will divide that concept in two parts. First one, you all have seen wall clock or wristwatch all around you. Now, if this is a watch, there is a second hand, minute hand and an hour hand, right? There are points 0, 1, 2, 3 and all. They all are having one equal distance. True? If the second hand transfers from 0 to 1, then 1 to 2, sorry for my bad drawing, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, they all have equal distance, and the second hand is traveling from one point to another, then to another, then to another, then to another, at a sequel at a same amount of time, which is 1 second. So a second hand, suppose it can be said that a second hand can travel this much distance per second. That is the frequency, right? If we see the clock, this is always like goes on from 0 to 1, 2, 3, 3 again. Then if 1 second happens, then 1 minute, and this is a synchronized process. But how this hand always gets keeps on going, which means that the second hand needs to be triggered at a certain rhythm, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Okay. Now second thing, you know that the microprocessor performed certain operations. So suppose the MUPI, what is used to do? Fetch, decode and execute. This whole process is called as instruction cycle. Once one instruction cycle is processed, again another performs, and this performance keeps on going, right? So that we can perform our task, right? Then how this instructions always keeps on going and all, here also it needs to be triggered. So the crystal oscillator generates clock, so that the microprocessor, it's always getting triggered on one instruction, another instruction, 1, 2, 3, 4, this keeps on going. Now the mu p it's a 3 megahertz mu p, which means that it can perform 30 million cycles per second. That's tremendously fast. Though it was in 1970s, now we have 3 gigahertz mu p's. So you can understand that how tremendously fast they are. But here is something more to understand. A mu p is of 3 megahertz, but the oscillator that is being generated by these x1 and x2, that is of 6 megahertz. Why it is like this? See, just remember this term, synchronization. Everything needs to be at a rhythm, at a particular, with the same time. Suppose if your second is from 0 to 1, it takes from this distance to this distance, it takes 1 second. From 1 to 2, it takes 5 minutes. From 2 to 3, again it takes 2 seconds. Is this how a clock works? No, right? This is 1 second, this should be also for 1 second, 1 second. This is how it goes on. So that once the second is being performed, the minute comes, then hour comes. So always the clock had to be at a particular rhythm, so that all the other devices that are connected to the mu p, they also performed at a same pace. Okay. Suppose I am doing something. If I am clapping, okay. So these are my 2 hands. I will clap. This is a clap. This one. Now I want to clap for 4 times. So how I can clap? I can clap like this, 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 this. I can clap like this, this. So there is not a particular rhythm. But if I clap like 1, 2, 3, 4, there is a synchronization. But you have to notice something, that suppose this is an instruction cycle. Start, end. This whole thing that your hand curves, it touches, it goes back. This whole concept, this whole time is called as a instruction cycle. You have to understand something, that I want to clap, right? So clap is only happening for the half of time, and the half of time I'm traveling. So if it is a whole instruction cycle, for the half time I was on cycle, for half time I was off cycle. This means that my instruction is working on 50% duty cycle, right? If I can do something that my clock will generate at this 50% duty cycle speed, my whole processor can work at a same rhythm. For that, what we need, I think you all heard about toggle flip-flop at least. So a toggle flip-flop, it attaches to x1 and x2. They will generate a clock for 6 megahertz. Now the toggle flip-flop will make it a 50% duty cycle, which means actually 6.144 megahertz, the frequency of crystal oscillator. Now the 50% duty cycle will make it 6.144 by 2, which is 3.07 megahertz. So for round figure, it is 3 megahertz. Okay, so this is how the frequency works, and like this is why clock is used to always trigger the microprocessor to make another instruction come, then another. Okay, x1 and x2, I think I have told you what does they do. Next is reset out. But for reset out, I want you to understand what is reset in. You can see that on reset in there is a bar. This signifies that it is active low signal. What does this mean? That if I produce 1, reset 1 will be 0 and reset out will be 1. If I produce 0, reset in will be 1, out will be 0. This is how it functions actually, active low signal. reset, I think we all do at a particular point in our life that we reset our device and all. So first what you have to do, produce a signal reset in, which means that our processor needs to be reset. This is once it is produced, so you have to give it 0 so that it will convert into 1. Once it is 1, the whole processor will get reset. Now we know that the processor is the bus driver, okay? He is the leader. The processor can make the other devices or the other chips that are connected with him by producing a signal out to reset other devices, that is being performed by reset out. Clear? So reset in will give the signal to reset the processor, then it will produce the signal to reset out it. Clear? Okay. Now ready signal. Suppose you want to print something, okay? So maybe there is some documents in your PC. Now you want to print that, so there will be some options to print and all. Then you have to check the output device, printer is ready or not. So the devices outside the PC or the devices connected to the PC, suppose keyboard, mouse and all, they have to produce a signal that hey, I'm ready, you can perform now. So ready signal is given to the processor to make sure that he can start working. Okay. Next, IO/M bar. So I actually want to teach some pins all along it, which is from this to this, which are IO/M bar, S1, RT bar, WR bar, ALE and SO. So if you have watched the previous videos, you know that I always told you to think as if you are the processor. So what is read bar and what is read and write operation? If I am the MUPI, I need to gather information from outside, which means the MUPI has to read. But if I have to send some information which I already knew, then I have to write. True? So these are the basic two basic two operations that can be performed, read and write. So why these are happening? You know the basic block. Maybe I have drawn this diagram 1000 times. MUPI, memory, IO. MUPI is connected to both of them, but both these two are not connected to each other. So how many operations can we perform with them? MUPI. I'm a MUPI, okay? I want to read some information from memory, so it will be a MR. I want to write MW. I want to read some information from IO devices, it will be IOR. I want to read, so it will be IOW. Okay, these four operations can be performed, but for that also you have to produce some signals, only then it can work efficiently. So how these four operations can be performed? By producing signals. What are the four operations here? Do this with me please, so that you will remember everything. MR, MW, IOR, IOW. Now maybe I've seen a pin called S1 and S0. They are pronounced as S1 and S0, but for better memorization, we pronounce them as S input and S output. There is nothing wrong in it. But see, this is not the theoretical term, okay? Please don't say that this is S1, this is S input and this is S output. Pronounce them as S1 and S0. But this is for input and this is for output, okay? When a memory read happens, this means that it is a input operation for the MUP, right? So input will be 1, output will be 0. Write, it's an output operation. This will become 1, this will become 0. Same goes with IOR and IOW. 1 0 0 1. Okay. Now there was another pin for IO/M bar. A person with even 1% sense of humor can understand this. See, the MUP can operate on both memory and IO. Suppose I have produced a signal 1 for both MR and this is IO. Okay. If I produce 1, both of them will go high. If I produce 0, both of them will go low. But no, I want another solution. If I produce a signal, suppose X, I want MR to be high, this to be, then it will stop. When MR will stop, this will go high. So then what I have to do? Okay, there is a way which is the active low signal, where 0 means high and 1 means low. So IO/M bar, if I say that an IO operation is being performed, then IO is 1, so you can produce signal 1 1. But when memory is performing, here memory is not working. Just a sec. When there is a input output devices is working on, then the signal goes high obviously, and when memory is being performed, as it is active low, I want them to be high, so for active low it will go to 0 0. Then S1 is being performed, S0, RT bar and RT bar, WR bar. Okay. Memory read, which means this is a read operation. As it is active low, this will go 0, and obviously this is not writing, so it's 1. Write 0, read 1. IO read 0 1 1 0. I will make another videos on timing diagrams, but please remember this chart. It's very important and it's extremely logical, so it's very easy to understand, right? This is highly needed for the timing diagram. You have to understand these concepts. So just a quick revision. MR, memory read, it's an input operation, that is why S1 is 1, S0 is 0. As it is a memory operation, active low, it's 0. It's a read operation, so active low RT is 0 and write is 1. For write operation, it's a output, so it's 1. Memory is 0. It's not a read operation, so 1. It's a write operation, so 0. The same goes with the IOR and IOW operation. Clear? Now, this address bus AD0 to AD7 and AD8 to AD11 with ALE. See, I'm just bunching these in pins so that you can understand it better. First of all, we know that we have a 16-bit address bus. But the first step we produce an address, second step we get the data, then again increment and all. So our brilliant scientists, they have discovered that we can divide them into two. The first hub, it's A0 to A7, the second hub will A8 to A15. First address is being generated, both of them will carry address. But once address is being generated, these buses are empty. A data bus in 8085 consists of 8 bits. So we can multiplex these both bits D0 to D7 and make them AD7. If you've noticed, AD0 to AD7, they are bidirectional, and A8 to A15, this is unidirectional. Why is it so? Because address is being generated by mu p, but mu p can send the data also and receive the data also. Okay, so this is why this is bidirectional, and this is like pure or address bus. This is why it is only unidirectional. But you can get confused, right? That whether in the 16 bits is it a address or in the 8 bits there is a data. So this is why address latch enable or ALE, this pin is used. How? See, so you can divide them into two parts, AD0 to AD7 and AD15 to A18 to A15. When ALE goes to 1, this means that now the data bus will go off, and A0 to A15 they will carry only address, pure address. When ALE goes 0, this 8 bits will become inactive, and only these 8 bits will use to carry data. Clear? This is why ALE is used. Next is SOD and SID. What does this say? What is the full form? Serial input data, serial output data. Serial input data, serial output data. We use bus, 8-bit data bus, 16-bit address bus. This is parallel communication, right? The width is, the more the width, the higher the data transfer is. Like here we can send 8 bits at one moment, but at serial communication we can only send 1 bit at a time. Parallel is higher, but it's also costly, and serial is, it's slow, but it's quite cheaper. Now if we used to have suppose from A to B the distance is 1 meter, so then okay, you can use parallel bus to send data. But suppose the distance is A to B, suppose it's a far away communication path, what can you do? Then parallel communication will become really costly. Like telephone lines, landline, when it used to be in our home, now we all use smartphones, which is wireless connection. That's not what I meant. I mean, this is not the topic of discussion here. So then there is only one way, right? Because it can travel a long path, and then we can use serial data communication. It will take time, but it will cost lower. This is why serial, sometimes we had to use serial input data and serial output data. The last instruction pins, from trap to INTA bar, what are they used for? I think you know about interrupts, right? What is interrupting? Suppose I was doing some work, then some external signal comes, and doesn't matter whatever I was doing, I had to take immediate action and have to perform that work. That is called interrupting. Even this happens with the computers also. I think maybe you all do this. Suppose you're performing some operations. Suppose you're coding, right? And then you insert the data cable. Then there will some message pop up on your PC screen that okay, this device is being connected. So it has produced a interrupt signal. Now there are various types of interrupts. These are some from trap to INTR. These are interrupts actually. I will say that what is INTA bar, but first just understand them. These 5 interrupts are used to say the microprocessor, see, whatever you are doing, I have some immediate operations to be performed. Now these are actually arranged as per priority. If trap occurs, then this is the highest priority. You have to perform this first and then all of them. INTR is the lowest priority interrupt. if I can give you more examples, suppose you're playing some game on your mobile, and suddenly a call came. The call will not wait for you to finish the game and then you have to receive. Microprocessor will send the notification that hey, someone is calling you. So once you just touch it, the microprocessor will get a signal that okay, he or she wants to receive the call, perform the operation, lift the game. Okay. So interrupt will come from outside, right? So these are why some of them are input coming to inside and some of them are outside. I will say you in interrupt video that why is it like so, but for pin diagram this is enough. So this is why these pin diagrams are used. Once the interrupt signal is seen by the microprocessor and the microprocessor like okay, I'm ready to perform the interrupt, then he will produce another signal that is INTA bar. INTA bar. This A stands for acknowledgement, that okay, your interrupt is being acknowledged and now it is being performed. How this is performed? Suppose your MUPI is performing some task. It's a serial. It goes from like a particular address to address, right? It always goes continuous. It always continues in a sequential manner. So suppose this is the addresses where the operations were being performed. So suppose a MUPI was doing some performance like 1, 2, 3, 4. Suddenly some interrupt came into the scene. Now from this address it will go to interrupt service routine, perform the task and come not to the same address. Obviously the PC goes on, it will obviously get incremented, and now from 5 to 6 the interrupt will come to 6 and again 6 to 7, 6 to 9 will get performed. This is how interrupts are being these pins are used. The last two pins, HOLD and HLD, sorry, why they are used. So again my favorite diagram. Okay, just wait a second. MUPI, memory, IO. One thing we all notice that MUPI is connected to both of them, but IO and memory, they are not connected to each other directly. They have to go through MUPI. So suppose I want to read some documents from memory and need to show the output. So what I have to do, first I have to say the MUPI will receive it, then it will give me. Okay, so there are, for this one instruction cycle, 2 or 3 more machine cycles are being performed. I will say what is instruction cycle and machine cycle. So suppose for this one instruction cycle 2 or 3 instruction cycles are being performed, which means that it is taking more time. You think that so what's the matter, this is only a frequency of second. No, when it comes to a huge file, maybe a 30 GB or 40 GB file, then these extra instruction cycle will make your processor slow. You don't want it, right? I wanted to make as faster as possible. So is there any process where IO and memory can directly interact with each other? Yes, which is DMA, direct memory access. In this case, IO and memory is connected directly, but how? I've told you that MUPI is the bus master. He is the leader. Only he can gives you the signal to whether to write or read. The only thing that produces controls is like signals. It is the MUPI. So we want something else to produce signal and break this link and connect IO and memory. That is DMAC, direct memory access controller. It will control the data flow here. How it is being performed? See this. The MUPI, memory, IO, they were connected with each other, but here comes to the scene the DMAC. What DMAC does, the DMAC is connected to the MUP with a switch. It's a logical switch, okay? Suppose I have to perform DMA, then DMAC will produce a signal. Hold. First task, produce a signal of hold to MUP. So this is why hold is a input signal for MUP. Okay. Now this switch will perform and this link will get broken. Now the MUP has to produce a signal that okay, your hold is being acknowledged. Second step is HLDA. And now it will produce signals and they will perform DMA. Now suppose their task is over. So third step, now this hold which was at 1 signal, which means high, like which stops the MUP what he was doing. Now again my task is being performed. Now you can go back to your task and this switch will goes off and again this link will get established. So third step, hold to 0. Okay. Okay, so then he will say, okay, this your hold is over now, and again MUP can perform at its own. The switch is all like at initial stage, this is not activated. The link is always between IO, MUP and memory. Once if certain operations came where DMA needs to get performed, then DMA will produce a signal, the switch will get on and the link will get broken, and DMA will produce signals to IO and memory and the operation will get performed of direct memory access. This was the task of 40 pins. Please watch this video several times to maybe it's a bit tough for you to understand at a first point, but if you watch this for like twice or thrice, you will get understand. Okay, so sorry, there are two more pins, which is the VCC and ground, the voltage high and ground, which is the 5 volt. You know obviously that my microprocessor works on power voltage, so this is why the 5V voltage is being produced. This is why the name 8082 became 8085. Oh, okay, that's not, this is a history, we will not get into that part. So the two pins, there are VCC and ground. Okay, the other two pins. So just have a quick recap. X1 and X2 is used to produce clock. Okay, once the clock is being produced and here MUP sends, okay, sorry, I forget to say one, the clock out. MUP is all the other devices are connected to MUP. So MUP triggers all of them. MUP is the bus rater. He will say that okay, this is have to be done or something. So once this X1 and X2 produce a clock, he gets that signal clock out to everywhere. One operation is being performed. Okay, 50% duty cycle is complete. Again triggers it. Clock will get input. Clock will get outputs. Okay. Reset in and reset out. Reset in is used to reset the MUP. Reset out is to reset the other devices connected to MUP. SOD and SID, serial input data, serial output data for serial communication. From TAP to INT AVA, these are for interrupt signals. 80 and 87 for address and bus data address and data transfer. VSS and VCC for ground and VCC. Hold and HLD for direct memory access. Clock out of seeded. Reset say ready to produce the signal that okay, all the other devices are ready. You can perform your task. IO to M bar to S0. Therefore, the operations that can be performed on IO devices and memory. Then A1885 for address bus. This was a whole pin diagram video. I hope you have understood it well. If you have any confusions, please ask me in the comment section. Thank you.